Welcome Ji. Let's start Kotlin tutorial. Today I'm going to discuss on interface. Okay, what are the way we can define interface in Kotlin, and what are the use cases, and basically the syntax and some examples so that you feel comfort while using the interface. So for first things, what is interface? Okay, what is interface? Generally, till now we have a study about the class, and class can inherit some member function from your superclass, yeah, parent class. Okay, so this is the and the superclass parent and can implement another uh, class. So till now we have studied कि one class can extend get inheritance from another class, but might be sometime we need kind of one class can implement extend inherit one class and can make inheritance can implement multiple interface. The interface look like is a class in a Kotlin, but here we can define abstract method, we can define the implementation method. So what are the differences between the abstract and non-abstract? So any method, you can say abstract method, that means at the place you only declare the function signature, you are not defining the actual business logic of body. If some function you just define function name and the parameter list, and after that we are not giving the function definition, that function or method known as a default method. Abstract method. So abstract method, we can define abstract also. Interface in Kotlin can contain declaration of abstract method, that is a method that we have only signature but not define the body, known as abstract method, and as well as the method implementation. So in Kotlin we have a both option, you can define a method that is abstract method or that is non-abstract methods. So questions come, what make them different from the abstract classes? Abstract class the same thing. In abstract class, any class can abstract whenever you are defining multiple method in that class, but some method you don't want to provide the definition. You say कि some class which inherit this abstract class can provide the definition. So this is an interface. So interface cannot have a state. So in generally, any class can have a member function. That means member means can have a method, can have a some states, some fields. So in interface, we cannot define any instance variable. Cannot interface cannot hold any state. Interface have only specify about your methods, maybe declaration or method implementation. So they can have property, but these need to be abstracts or to provide accessor implementation. So when you are going to define a property in interface, can define property, but that property can be abstract, or you can say you have to provide the implementation. So in the case of an interface is a defined is a keyword your interface. So similarly, interface is the one keyword, interface is the one keyword interface, and you can give your interface name, and here you can define your method. This is the abstract method. Here we have only declare the function signature. This is the your non-abstract method, that means you have defined the signature and provide your function body. Okay, function body. So this is the non. in interface we can define both abstract method and non-abstract method. So here say interface keyword and define your interface, and here you can define your let's key fun foo. This is your abstract method, and you say fun let's key foo 2, and here you can provide the body. I am inside foo 2. Foo 2 I foo 2 interface foo 2 inside this interface. So in this way you can define. Okay. S- So question is, when you define interface, how can you use it? Can we create a like a object like bell obj object equal to, we can do? No. You can here, you can define your interface that contain your abstract method, that contain your non-abstract method, but interface you cannot create object of interface. Why? If compiler allow to create object, then you can invoke your foo function. So how, what is the definition of foo? Compiler don't know. So interface can have an option to define the abstract method. Due to that, Kotlin compiler does not allow to create the object of interface. So how we can use this interface? So you have to create one class implementation. Okay, implementation, that's provide the definition of your default method. So that now say we have a foo method definition and foo2 method definition. At that times you are able to access both method. So here you say I am going same keyword here colon use and your interface name. So whenever you are defining any interface, okay, then I have both options. But when we are going to implement those interface are in, at that time this class must provide your unimplemented method. This is the unimplemented method. So you must provide, this class must provide unimplemented. If this class is not providing any this class does not provide the implementation, that we cannot create again the object of this class. Let's see, we are not providing here, so it's not allow. It's not allow to create an object of interface. Okay, and let's now can can now create the my implementation my implementation. So here you can implement, but this class can, okay, so this class implementation can class implementation is not abstract, so does not implement abstract method. So you have to say abstract function foo is defined my interface. So here is the foo function is the abstract function abstract method that is defined in the interface, but your class can are implementing this interface but not providing the uh, unimplemented method. So this class is uncomplete, you can say. So compiler does not say it's you can say you cannot compile this code. Reason is that my interface have a one undefined method. You are not providing the definition here. So here we have two options. Might class this class might say key I have a function another function for 3. Let's we have for 3 and let's give we are implementation. Let's give 1. This name is implementation 1. So here to fix the compilation we have a two option, or we can provide the definition of unimplemented method, or we can make class itself abstract. So abstract class say might be there are some method here that is not provide the implementation. So that some method cannot provide the implementation. So Kotlin compiler say you cannot create the instance of an abstract method. So note compiler Kotlin you cannot also create in it's not allowed. It's not allowed to create an object of abstract class. Abstract class. So interface you cannot create an object. Similarly, you cannot create an object of a abstract class. Let's give we have a another class implementation 2. Let's let's extend your implementation 1. So here your class itself not providing the definition of your foo. So we have two options. Let's give we provide the definition. So let's give now this class is the complete class. Okay. Now your this class is a complete class. Right. So in this way, this is the interface can define abstract method. Let's say class implement this interface. If does not provide the implementation of this is the unimplemented method, so this class can be abstract or provide the implementation. So if mark abstract, so this class you cannot create the object of abstract class as well as. So how? Let's say another class can implement implementation 2, and they have an option. It can also mark abstract, or they provide the definition of foo. Now this class is a complete class. Now they have provided the definition of foo2, and they can inherit from f3 and f2 as well as. So here object equal to, now you can create object, and from here object dot you can invoke foo, you can invoke foo2, you can invoke foo3. So in short, Kotlin allow to create an object of any class. That class provide all the inherited method definition. Let's this class can implement interface 1 can. So, so in this case our IMPL class IMPL2 extend your one class IMPL and IMPL class can have a extended from your interface. The interface define here foo, and that foo is abstract method not defined by here, so it's marks abstract class, and class implementation 2 extend from here, so we have a, again this foo class is not is defined by here. So here foo definition available, foo1 available, foo2 available. So any class have any kind of abstract method, so Kotlin compiler does not allow to create an object of that class. But if class provide the implementation of your all definition of your all method, then Kotlin allow you can create object, and from here object you can foo1, foo2, foo3, anyone. And class, let's see, implementation 3. Okay, let's give we have another interface, my interface. Let's get two. They have a method like fun test. Okay, and let's key your class can mine 3 class can implement 2. Okay, okay. So what say? So your by default each class are the finals. Just to open it. Now you can and you can also comma, you can give your interface to. Now uh, this class implementation 3 class can provide the all the abstract method define this hierarchy or this hierarchy. This hierarchy or implementation 2 provide the all the implementation, it's okay, but this interface you have to provide your. So now here in generally your class 1 can extend from another class and can implement interface 1 and implement interface 2, but in the Kotlin you cannot say class, let's give 4 here. You cannot say this class can implement implementation 2 and can implement implementation 1. So this is not allow. Your one class cannot implement in class 1 and class 2, but your class can implement one class and implement interface 1 interface 2. So multiple, like you can say, inheritance with respect to the class can Kotlin not allow, but multiple inheritance with the case of your class and multiple interface are allowed. So it's not allowed. Okay. Multiple class inheritance are not allowed. Okay. So it's I think clear key how if you define your interface, if you're defining an interface, if you define any interface can have your method, and that can have a implemented method, and that can have abstract method. If this any class can implement this interface, and while the implementation they have to provide the definition of unimplemented method or not. If not providing, that class also marks as a abstract and you cannot create the object of abstract class. But another class can, if define the unimplemented method like a foo, now this class is able to create the object of this class, and from this class you can invoke the all the method like foo, foo2, foo1. So any class, okay, class or object can implement or one or more interface. That's love. Here your child class can implement interface 1, can implement interface 2, and if this child class is must have to override all the unimplemented method of interface 1, interface 2. If they are not providing any one of this implementation method, so this class cannot say concrete class. This class say this class should be your abstract. So Kotlin does not allow to create an object of abstract class, and even Kotlin does not allow to create an interface object. So you can create an object of a class. That class provide all inherited methods implementation. If they have implemented 2 3 interface, and they have, this class must provide all the implementation of unimplemented method that is defined inside your interface. So similarly, like a method define an interface can be overridden by its implementation class. Similarly, you can define a property in interface as well as, okay, but that properties, okay, you can declare property in interface, but the property declare in interface either be abstract or it can provide your accessor method. That means you can define any interface property. That property, if you can give you, this is the, you are not giving any definition of property here, this is the your abstract property. Or you can define a property, this is the property with the getter method, so that they have some value with the getter method, so that this value can be accessed from your object. And interface, you can also define your normal method that can be implemented or that cannot be implemented. Okay, and in this case, let's interface, yes, let's get 3. Here we have an option, you can define, let's give val proper prop 1, and you can say this is string. So here you can define, but to say try like class impl, let's key 1, implement my interface 3. So this class must provide the implementation and override this value. Sorry, excuse me. So here you have to override your property and provide key what is the default value. Say a value of impl1. So, and you can define here, yeah, you can define here function foo that uh, can that can provide for println. Here you can use. So someone asked, this variable defined here, what would be the value of this? Interface does not have any state, so what is the value here? The class which implement this interface, they provide the actual value. So here say, well, impl1 equal to impl1. Here say impl dot here you can use for foo function. So here foo function you know the value is defined by this interface, and that is the mpl1 value, default value. So please ensure that whenever we can option define the property, but here you not can giving the specific value bound here. This value can be overridden by your implementation class and provide the actual value. And might be interface have a option. You can define the let's key prop 2 like a string, and here you can provide your getter itself, and this a key uh, prop 2 value in interface. So here you can provide the method. Here you can provide the getter method of this property. Get the value, but not so. Here you can provide the getter, and here you can access your property 2 as well as. So here, so in interface you can define property that does not have any value, that means key abstract property, and your implementation class must provide the override those value and giving the actual value. So this is in this here you have an option, you have a override as well as, you can say you can override this, and this say while value of impl1 prop 1 value, prop 1 value, prop 2 value. So whenever you are creating the impl1 class, so impl1 class value is you are getting, not you are getting the value defined inside this. So this is the way you can you can declare property. That property can be abstract, that property can be declare some getter method, and your whenever your child class going to implement this interface, okay, implementation, this is the abstract property, they must override the abstract property with the actual value. So sometime your interface is are inheritance, means ki one interface can extend another interface. That means ki this is the interface 1 can inherit the named interface, this is another interface. So that's a interface can inherit from another interface, thus both provide the implementation of their member and declare the new functions and property as well as. Quite natural, class implementing such as interface is only required to define the missing implementation. Okay, there's a class which are going to implement this interface. Class have a responsibility. Whatever the method missing the definition, those only provided by the class implementation. So here you can see, right, in interface. Let's key named interface. Let's key have a well name string string, and we have another interface like person can be named person named. Here you can define like well first name, last name, first name string, or you can say last name, last name. So now any class, let's key we have a class customer, uh, customer can implement your person. And here person class responsibility to provide the implementation of this variable, this variable, this variable, all three. But this interface have an option, they can provide this, that's key, this can override your name. And here whatever so here say your like person, here dollars your first name, dollar last name. So now this this interface is provide the implementation of your name interface. Okay, now this customer class must provide the implementation of your first and last. Okay, so this is the way you can say so here say if let's give, if you are not providing here. Okay, so you have option, you cannot provide. So this class is the responsibility to provide the all your unimplemented method. Okay. Your name, first, last, and then customer, you say dollar first, last. What's okay? Okay, so in this way, customer name. So this is the way generally. If we have an option, key some method you can define. Okay, so we have a option you can declare inside this. So here we have a customer have a option, you can comment out. So in this way you can create the customer, and here you have to given the first name, last name. Here from here you can print then s c dot c dot your name, c dot your first name, comma c dot your last name. So in this way, you have an option to define override one interface to another interface. So you have an option. You can, if your class implement this interface, this is another interface, and this can have a extend inherited from another interface. So this one, two, three implementation provide barrier concrete class. Might be some interface can be defined by your inside your interface itself. So these are the options you can declare or we cannot declare. So similarly, you can this we have two options here. Here we have a two option to override, or you can say right class employee extend your person, and generally you can override as a member or override as a constructor. So you have option you can override these two as a constructor as well as let's key here, let's key this is not override, and then you have to override here, or here you can say just legitimate. So those way. So here you have options. Now this employee class you can also, okay. So this is the two way you can override this as a property inside a member. You can override this as your in the constructor as well as, okay. So whenever so we have both options while the overriding in interface and the class, you can override those property inside your class constructor itself, like your class primary constructor, or you can define as your member. So here say your first name or last name is override inside your employee constructor itself, and you can here either person. Sometimes there is a problem of a conflicting. Now Kotlin will allow one class can implement interface one and implement interface two. What happened? The same function defined in the two interface. Here also define function one. Here also define function one. From here, if we are invoking function one, which function Kotlin compile invoke plus this interface or this interface? So some confusion happen. So how to, let's see here example. We have a one interface A, we have another interface B. Okay, let's here have a foo function. Here have a one bar function. Here let's give a foo and bar function. Okay, let's key interface A have a two function fun foo foo. Let's have a implementation as well as foo of A, and we have a fun bar bar. Let's key have abstract method. We have an interface like interface B. Let's key we have a, again same fun foo print, then let's key foo inside your B. Let's key fun bar. Let's we have a uh, bar inside your B. Okay. Let what happen? Let's key this is the two interface, and what happen? It's let's class C. Your class C implement this A interface. So class A must provide the unimplemented method. So this is the provide a bar inside your C class, right? And might be let's key. So in this there is no an issue. Key A have a this is the one method foo, and they given the override the bar method. But what happen in the case of let's key class D, that class can your A and interface A comma interface B. So how to override? Okay, let's give want to override both. Okay, let's give override both. So question here, now this have function, they can invoke a foo, they can invoke a bar. Okay, so question is here foo have a two implementation from A and from B. A interface also define the foo implementation, a B interface also define the foo. If you are invoking a foo from here, which foo? This foo invoke from A or invoke from B? Let's give try to here. Well, well T. Let's get T created object. T dot foo. What happened? Which foo they are going to invoke? So this is kind of confusion happen. Okay, this is a confusion happen. Foo is not able to define which foo I am going to invoke. So here we have to use the concept of super super and specify your I want to A invoke only. So this is where you can solve your. Now here you say ki I want to invoke the full definition of your A interface, or you can say I want to invoke full definition of B interface. So here you have options. Now in this way you can solve your conflicting problem, right? Similarly you have a right here as well, like I want to invoke from B only bar. So this is the way Kotlin are able to solve the problem. Like here in the class D are going to implement A interface that have a foo function, and that also implement a B interface that also have a foo function. And if here if you are going to know, now here compiler confused, I am invoking the definition of A or definition of B. So here say we specify invoke the super of A only foo. So they are invoking of A foo. Yeah, super B invoke foo, only B invoke. In this way you are solve this conflicting problem of if in the case if your class is implementing multiple interface. Here one or might be one class and another interface. Let's key here class. Let's key extend your class C. There's one class and can implement multiple interface. Let's key A comma B. Here is a class. Then we have to provide. Okay. This class should be open first so that key any class can extend it. So C is already implemented A. So you say. So if you look this way it works. So whenever you are going to implement A interface, all the A class already implemented by C, so there is no confusion. That's key. Here you are trying to say I'm going to implement B interface as well as. So here B class have a one function for foo that is not defined override. B have a bar function. B have a this B interface have a foo and bar. So this way you can here you have to confusion. E must override a foo because it's undefined. Okay? E class must override your foo undefined in interface A. So here say interface A, the A have no foo method available. So in this way you have say you have here say what say bar is defined as C as well as. So in this way you can options you can override. So whenever one class can only inherit one class member and can implement interface 1 and interface 2. If any confusion happen, then you have to take help of your super and a class name, which method they are going to consumes. This is the same. We have a say ki we have an interface A and B both have a bar and foo function. Both have a foo, both implement foo, but bar is not implemented in this way. So lots of same definition were given here, and you can just use your super keyword to solve this problem. So this way we can discuss here is that in Kotlin interface you can define your abstract method or your non-normal method with the definition method without definition method. Similarly, you can define a property with the abstract property or property with your getter method. In this way you can find, and one in Kotlin one class can inherit another class and also can implement your interface 1 interface 2 and interface 3, and this class is responsibility to provide the all unimplemented method. If this interface defines some interface, this interface defines some method, this interface defines some method, here any method is unimplemented, that unimplemented must be implemented by your overridden by your implementation class. And if your this class is not providing the all unimplemented method definition, then this class you have to mark as abstract class, and the class which inherited from this class is a responsibility to provide the implementation of your on all unimplemented method. And in Kotlin you cannot create an object of your interface, and even you cannot create an object of your abstract class. Why? Interface can have unimplemented method. Similarly, abstract class can have unimplemented method. If Kotlin compiler allow you to create the object, then what is the definition of unimplemented method? Who will provide? So due to this reason, Kotlin say you cannot create an object of your interface, you cannot create an object of your abstract class. Reason is that might be case in abstract class or interface there is some method that does not have a defined till. Okay, hope it's clear to you how we can use the interface in our Kotlin. Okay, in the last I would like to say thank you watching for this video.